And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we're talking about Mike Sainristil, listed by Pro Football Focus as a player set to have a breakout season this year. We're going to be talking about what that means for the Washington Commanders and if he can get it done this season. And so before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. We're talking about, is Mike Sainristil ready for a breakout season? And so according to Pro Football Focus, they feel that Mike Sainristil absolutely is ready for a breakout season. And so if you want to go read this, go over to Pro Football Focus. This is written by Bradley Locker. And so within this article, he goes over every position, and he has Mike Sainristil listed as one of the corners that he thinks will have a breakout season. And so let's go ahead. Let's jump into what he had to say. I'm going to paraphrase that, and then we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And so let's start with the first point where he says the Commanders finished 2024 ranked 30th in both defensive success rate and team PFF coverage grade. Next, he talks about the Commanders didn't make many drastic changes to the unit that they likely needed. And then he's talking about the talent that the Washington Commanders have with Mike Sainristil there. Then next, he goes into the grades that Mike Sainristil had playing outside as a cornerback last season. And so you see that he had a 65.8 overall PFF grade with a 64.5 PFF coverage grade. And then on top of that, it looks like that Mike Sainristil had a 14% forced incompletion rate, which tied for third best amongst qualified rookie corners. Lastly, talking about how the Washington Commanders took Trey Amos in the second round, which is naturally going to allow Mike Sainristil to slide inside to his natural position that he played at the University of Michigan. And then you see that he had an 85 PFF coverage grade in 2023 with the University of Michigan. And lastly, he's just talking about how that just further kind of backs his argument as to why he thinks that Mike Sainristil is going to have a breakout season. And so let's start with that first point there. And so I have to push back with that a little bit, talking about that the Commanders didn't make many drastic changes to the unit. I think that the Commanders certainly made changes. It just wasn't something that was a huge splash. And I think that when I'm talking about huge splash, I'm talking about the Trey Hendrickson type of acquisition that's been out there, the Myles Garrett rumor before he ended up signing and things like that. Like, I think that really the narrative around the Washington Commanders where they were going to go out and get a huge name, and they didn't do that. They went out and they got several different, pieces that really fit with the scheme and really what Joe Witt Jr. and this defense really want to achieve this year. And I think it's something that when the Commanders get to the season, I think people are going to see just how much better this defense is collectively as a unit. And so I think that that's where I have to push back there, because I do think that they made some changes, and especially in the secondary too, because when you look at the fact that they bring in Jonathan Jones and what he was able to achieve with the Patriots, I think a lot of people are forgetting about Marshawn Lattimore. And really, I think that this is actually the first time that we will truly get a chance to see Marshawn Lattimore, because yes, he played last season, but was that really Marshawn Lattimore with the hamstring, and then also too coming in late and then just having to pick up the schemes and all that stuff like that? I think that you're going to see the best foot forward for Marshawn Lattimore, which in turn is actually going to be almost like getting an addition to the defense, because he's back healthy and he knows what's going on there defensively from a scheme standpoint and everything else. And then on top of that, I mean, you have to look at what we've done at the safety position with Will Harris. I mean, we know what Quan Martin could do. You know, you still got Jeremy Reeves, you got Tyler Owens, and then you still got like undrafted players who are making a splash like Carlin Vigors. And so, I mean, there's a lot of additions in the secondary, and that's not even counting what we've done up front with like Dedrick Wise Jr. and also too talking about Javon Kinlaw, just to name a couple. And I just think that this defense is primed and ready with the additions that they have. And so I'll start there. But next, in talking about him sliding to the inside, absolutely. I think that when you look at Mikey Sainristil sliding inside, I do think that he is primed to have a breakout season, because I just talked about how I think the defense collectively has gotten better. And when you go back and you look at what Coach Joe Witt had to say in some of the pressers at the mandatory camps and things like that, he sounds like a coach that is very happy with the additions, because he talked about the fact that they've gotten bigger, they've gotten faster, they've gotten, more length. Like there's so much more that he likes about this defense in year two that he probably didn't have in year one. And I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that it was just year one of the program for the Washington Commanders. And so I think that you're going to have an added bonus, because now from a scheme standpoint, you've gone out, you've drafted more players that fit that. You've gone out and you've gotten free agents that will fit that as well. And so with Mikey Sainristil sliding inside because of one of those additions, absolutely he's going to take off. And I think another thing that people really forget about with Mikey Sainristil is Mikey Sainristil started off as a wide receiver in college. And so I think that his best days playing like the slot corner position, it's not even close to being there. So I absolutely think that he is going to take off in this next season, because he's got elite ball skill. We know that he can come up and be physical as a hitter. We understand that he can come up and track the football and things like that. And he just plays a lot bigger than what he is. And just Mikey Sainristil as a leader, like I love the fact that, yes, he is listed as a breakout candidate, because I think he is primed and ready to go, not only from his skill standpoint, but also too from what has been done around him. And so, yes, I think that he's absolutely going to benefit that. And I think that, look, if Trey Amos continues on like he's been doing, we've been hearing this stuff and, we've been watching the clips and all this stuff like that. But let's see what happens 40 days from now when these guys put on the pads. Is he still as intense? Is he still making the plays? Is he still doing these little things that have really stood out? And so I think that that is going to tell you a little bit more about just what is going to happen to Mikey Sainristil and the rest of this defense. And so also too, going back and circling, like I said, you have got to factor in a guy like Marshawn Lattimore saying that he feels great, how that is going to help this team, because now, yes, you have a legit outside corners that now you can push a player like Mikey Sainristil back into his natural position where he's going to feast. And I think that not only is Mikey Sainristil going to really take off now that he's back inside, but I think because you have Trey Amos and what he's going to potentially bring, and then also to Marshawn Lattimore, what he's going to bring, I think now when you go back to Coach Joe Witt, I think he's going to be able to even throw Mikey Sainristil out there in some packages where he can play the outside. I think that it's almost like he can play a little bit more gamesmanship on the defensive end and kind of confuse the offense out there, because Mikey Sainristil has shown that he's with all the smoke in covering whoever he has to on the outside or the inside. And so I think that from a versatility standpoint overall for this defense, huge. And so, yes, I do think he's going to have a breakout season. And I think that this defense in general is going to have a breakout season. I think that you're going to see a team that's much more comfortable with the scheme. They're much more comfortable with the assignments and things like that. And I think with the secondary, it's gotten so much better that I think that a lot of the sacks that, that everybody's kind of wondering where it's going to come from, I think that because the secondary play is going to pick up this season, I think that you're going to see some coverage sacks. And I also think that the Commanders are going to be able to turn the football over more on defense. I really do, because if you're playing some great coverage, even if you're not getting the sack, right? If you're chasing the quarterback, you're getting him off his spot, you're getting his eyes to move in different directions and things like that, there's the chance that he can throw into some coverage. There's some chance that you're going to see somebody come up and maybe knock the football out of his hand, something like that. And that comes from a result of just the defense being connected as one unit. And I think that that's really what it comes down to. This defense is going to be more connected as one this season. I think you're going to see that in all areas areas. Yes, I'm saying that's going to happen in the run fit. Yes, I'm saying that's going to happen in the pass fit and also too on the back half. But not to jump too far off topic, talking about Mikey Sainristil, yes, he is going to have a breakout season. And so you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you agree with this Pro Football Focus article that suggests that Mikey Sainristil is on the all-breakout team this upcoming season? Do you think he's primed to have a good year? Like I said, based off not only his skill set, but also too with just what we have defensively and the additions and how that's going to fit much better in year 2 of this program. And I talked about how Trey Amos, if he's able to take that step, which we have seen so far and heard about as far as the clips, I'm saying we've seen him there, and then also hearing about what he's doing. If that is something that is true to form, you can definitely expect that, yes, this defense, Mikey Sainristil, and everybody's going to take off along with a healthy Marshawn Lattimore. So anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, look, go Commanders. I will see you guys on the next one. And look, happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. All right, peace.